How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the VAR You Serious podcast with my dad and myself. How are we doing this week, Dad?
We're doing great. Did you know we're celebrating a holiday today?
Oh, yes,
Happy
yes.
St.
You can say it.
Totteringham's Day. Today is the earliest celebration ever, March 1st, of
Yeah.
St. Totteringham's Day or St. Hotspur's Day, whatever you want to call it. March 1st, the earliest day by 8 days that Arsenal have locked up, finishing ahead of.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, they're out of the title race officially. Because
Well, yeah.
there's only I think there's only 32 available points, and they can't make that up anymore with their loss to Fulham today. They keep trudging along. I just don't even understand what's going on there anymore. But Dad,
Wouldn't it be
besides the Arsenal
insane?
game,
Wouldn't it be insane if, I think we've maybe alluded to this before, but like, what if Tottenham get relegated and win the Champions League?
yeah, well, we actually have a question kind of like that later on.
Okay.
But I mean, if they can't beat Fulham, I don't see how they win the Champions League, quite honestly. And I think their first round tie I'd have to check again, but I don't even think it's favorable necessarily.
In the round of 16, the knockout round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I could check super quick here, but we already know Spurs are in a whole dire situation here. But Dad, how was the rest of your weekend otherwise?
Good. Hung out, had my first scrimmage with my girls' team yesterday. Did all right. And I was just watching, the last I checked, Inter Miami was down 2-0 to Orlando. So far, he and company have been outscored 5-0 this season.
It's a little bit of a championship hangover, as we call it here in the States. But yeah, Dad, just going back to it, Spurs play Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. But, we've talked before how teams sometimes they play better in different tournaments and, you know, unlikely, but it would just be bizarre if they get relegated and even make the Champions League final. Like, just even that.
Well, yeah, they'd have to get through some teams for sure, because then it would either be Newcastle or Barcelona next for them.
Yeah, that's probably a mountain too hard to climb.
But anyways, Dad, we're gonna jump right into the same topic there, the Champions League. We
Yep.
obviously had the round of 16 draw on Friday morning for us. And Dad, it's quite favorable for Arsenal. So for us, we're stoked on that point. But what do you think so far on some of the matchups, and what have you seen? What's intriguing you?
Well, I mean, I don't think I have. It's so obviously favorable. Like, the other side of the bracket is considerably harder than the side of the bracket that we're on, right? I believe we start with Bayer Leverkusen, right? But just
Yep.
even the whole bracket on that side, it's not, it's easy. Like, Arsenal should at least get to the quarterfinals, if not semifinals, pretty easily. I mean, obviously at that point, there's never easy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm thankful, like, right? I mean, everyone always complains, oh, the draw goes against us. Well, Arsenal fans cannot complain one bit this season about Champions League draw because super, super favorable.
Yeah, I don't think Arsenal fans have anything to really be that worried about, at least over the first two, stages. I think round of 16 quarterfinals are teams, with all due respect, they should be beating regardless. There is still Barcelona, Newcastle, Atletico Madrid, Spurs, some good teams, maybe besides Spurs, but on that half. But Dad, to your point, I mean, I don't even know who comes out of the other side. You got Liverpool, Real Madrid, Manchester City, Bayern Munich. And I mean, I'm not even giving props to teams like Atalanta or Galatasaray, who have played well in the Champions League this year. And then, of course, you also have Chelsea and PSG. I mean, you couldn't get any more stacked, could you?
No, I mean, if you want to see some good soccer, definitely watch that side of the bracket. I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to be crazy. I mean, even just the next round, who could be playing? I mean, there is no one easy on that side of the bracket, like, at all. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm thankful that Arsenal has a great draw. I'm just like, what happens if somehow Bodø Glimt get past Sporting and then Arsenal has to play them. I mean, someone's got to put them, kick them out. Like the dream, the Cinderella story is continuing, but it better not happen to Arsenal.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it is definitely a Cinderella story, but I think, they've done it repeatedly now over 4 or 5 games, and teams need to be taking them much more seriously than maybe they have been. I don't know if that was really a factor. I mean, these are professionals. They always take these matchups very seriously regardless. But someone's got to really honestly probably go to Norway and beat them at home and call like Sporting needs to go there and get the job done, kind of knock their confidence.
Yeah, I actually was doing a little studying about Bodø Glimt, and dude, if you watch their 4-4 defense, excuse me, 4-4-2, it looks like a computer game. They move in perfect synchronicity. I mean,
Yeah.
it is no wonder teams are having a hard time scoring. They are extremely well coached. And, at some point that's going to run out. I mean, at some point, the athleticism and the technical superiority of other teams is going to finally overcome that. But man, good for them. It's pretty impressive to watch.
Well, and they're keeping up with the physicality of these teams, to your point. Like they're well drilled, well coached, and they're physical. They get after it, they counterattack hard, they're intense. And we've talked about how the English teams have been kind of dominating in Europe because of that intensity and physicality. And it's almost like Bodo Glimt is replicating that. And it's working for them. Clearly, it worked against Manchester City. But that kind of moving on, I mean, Real Madrid, Manchester City for what seems like the 5th time in 2 years or
Right.
whatever. I mean, ridiculous, right?
Well, yeah. And one of the questions you have on here is who got the toughest draw? I mean, whichever way you want to go, Real Madrid or Man City, probably Man City because I think they're a slightly better club, but or Real Madrid, I guess. But I mean, yeah, if Man City were to win or Real Madrid, then they have to play Bayern, and then one of them has to play PSG, Chelsea, Liverpool. I mean, I think honestly, Man City got a little dogged in this draw, and even Bayern to some extent. Although Atalanta is not as bad a draw for this first round compared to City playing Real Madrid. So
No, and I mean, they're the 7th place team in Serie A. It should be relatively comfortable for Bayern, but to your point, Dad, that Real Madrid Manchester City game will get either Bayern or Atalanta, most likely Bayern. So right after you play a really tough 2 matches against regardless of the team, you're probably going into the next leg with Bayern. But we've talked about this before. I mean, it's the Champions League that you have to beat the best to be the best, right?
I mean, yes, at some point you are going to match up with the best. Arsenal got a bit of a pass in this first round. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Sporting really should beat Bodo Glimt. That should be an easy game. But yeah, I mean, at some point Arsenal's got to start beating some really good teams. It just may take another round or two compared to the Man Cities and Bayerns of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and there's storylines really all over this bracket that was made up wherever you're looking at it. Obviously, PSG and Chelsea played at the Club World Cup, Chelsea getting the better of them there. And to be fair, Chelsea looked pretty good today against Arsenal. I don't think that's a straightforward match for PSG, being the holders, right? Like that's going to be a tough, difficult game for them where they've been struggling in Ligue 1 a little bit this year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and struggling in the French league is more problematic than struggling in the Premier League. We know the Premier League is better top to bottom than League One, so it's our league.
Oh, there you go.
It'll be interesting. Chelsea, I don't know what to make them. I mean, Arsenal, haven't we beat them 4 times this year?
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe only 3 because we drew with them at Stamford Bridge in the
Sorry,
league.
you're right. So 3
So
wins and a draw. But yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea are perfectly capable of beating PSG. I don't think they will, but we shall see.
it's does the discipline hold up? How do they actually match up against a PSG in a knockout situation? Not the Club World Cup in its first year. But, I mean, another little thing I want to touch on here, Liverpool, Galatasaray, people are writing that one off. Galatasaray beat Liverpool in the Champions League this year already. So
I was
and
gonna say
They just beat Juventus in their round of 32 matchup as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So this is not a pushover for Liverpool.
No, it's not, and, Liverpool's not who they were last year, so I think there's gonna be some, fantastic games coming up. One thing I was reading about was, I think Man City, speaking of draw, they have to play Bayern, like, the midweek before City and Arsenal play in the
They have
Premier League?
to play Madrid the week before the Carabao Cup, and then if they
Okay.
get through, they would have to play most likely Bayern the week before they play Arsenal again in the league. So, I mean, you're talking implications outside of just the Champions League here.
Absolutely. And so, you like to think that all these things start adding up as far as any of these teams, whether it be City or Arsenal or whatever, trying to win multiple trophies. These draws matter. The schedule matters. And so I'd like to think that is more favorable to a team like Arsenal right now in the Premier League than City. But, once again, we'll see.
And absolutely, Dad. I think one more thing I wanted to touch on here, the last matchup that I think is getting maybe overhyped in terms of the quality of it and what might happen, but I think there's no chance that Newcastle will get past Barcelona. It'd be awesome to see, but I mean, it's Barcelona. Like, let's get real a little bit here. I know Chelsea beat Barcelona at Stamford Bridge earlier this year, but Barcelona's clicking into gear now. Lamine Yamal just had a hat trick the other day. I mean, I think it might be a fun couple games, but I don't see Barcelona having any issues there.
No, no, I don't either. But I mean, you're saying that there's a number of Premier League teams that could very well fall out in this next round, or there's at least a decent chance, right?
I mean,
Chelsea.
Spurs could be gone, Chelsea could be gone, Liverpool could be gone, and I mean, that goes back to our predictions last week of, is there gonna be an English team in every final? I mean, that would hurt my prediction of yes, but I think we know who the quality teams are who are expected to make it to at least the semifinals, and, that's at least 2 English teams, most likely in Arsenal and Manchester City. Don't count out Liverpool. But yeah, one other thing on the Newcastle-Barcelona side, Newcastle also have maybe the most difficult schedule in between those 2 matches against Barcelona. They play City in the FA Cup, they play Chelsea, they play United, so I just don't see it working out for them. But like we said, anything can happen. It's knockout football. Teams got to travel. They have other things going on. For example, Barcelona could have other things going on as well.
Yeah, never a good idea to overlook anybody. But yeah, I would bet quite a bit of money that Barca find a way to win that matchup. Probably
Well,
easy.
I don't think anyone's gonna get any predictions out of us today. It's too early to call anything, so we'll just see how they go and enjoy the games, right?
That's the plan. That's my plan anyway.
Same, just midday at work, so we kinda have to budget in the time, unfortunately.
I will try
Anyways,
my best.
yes,
All right,
anyways.
it's time to move on to underdog of the week. Did you want to go ahead and do yours first?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll kind of jump into it here. I thought there was a couple good options sticking in the Champions League here for mine. I wanted to bring up Atalanta coming back and beating Dortmund. Dortmund had a 2-0 lead going into the game. Kind of a wild ending to that game, but Atalanta showed up at home, scored 4 goals against a good Dortmund team. Someone, second I think in Bundesliga still right now. So tough matchup, but Atalanta really was at it out of the gates. They scored 5 minutes into the game. And you just don't really see teams come out that hot anymore. So I think it was just a nice switch and change of pace. So congrats to Atalanta on advancing. And now they get another German team in Bayern. So we'll see how they do there.
Yes, sir. So my underdog of the week, which I think one of us has, maybe even I picked them recently. I can't even remember. But Wolves beating Aston Villa. Wolves have decided that they're going to be a pretty decent soccer team here in the new year, and causing trouble. And Aston Villa, I mean, I can't say they're in trouble. Losing to Wolves is not a good thing, but they're still in like 4th place in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And, the reality is, and we were talking before we started recording, Aston Villa has been outperforming their XG all season. And it feels like, well, it doesn't feel like, it's pretty clear they are regressing to the mean. And that's why they're getting, you know, drawn and beaten more than they were in 2025 in the first part of the season. So I don't want to take anything away from Wolves. They are, I think they're still in the relegation zone, if I'm correct.
I think they're
They're
still
still,
nine or 7 points behind Burnley.
yeah, they're 6 behind Burnley, and Burnley has a game in hand. But they're in double digits. They've got 13 points. And there's still whatever 9 or 10 matches left. Like, who knows, right? I mean, maybe they pull off a miracle. But in any case, they are my underdog of the week.
Yes, I like it. I think a lot would need to happen for them to pass up every team ahead of them, but like you said, you never know. Crazier things have happened. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Here, let me pose a question to you, Dad. What would be crazier? Wolves getting out of the relegation zone with about 9 or 10 games left here, or Leicester winning the Premier League back in 2016?
Such different sort of ends of the table, if you will. I mean, I think
Yeah.
as much as
Why is it crazier, right? Like
right.
which one here?
I think at this point, I mean, Leicester beating the Big Six to a title, including a year that we're pretty sure we felt like Arsenal should win it, that's a pretty big deal. I don't think anyone expected Wolves to necessarily avoid relegation this year, or no one's surprised by it. Maybe their horrible performance the first, half of the season they were surprised by. But no, I think Leicester City winning the whole thing 10 years ago, I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
Was remarkable. Absolutely was remarkable, even though it didn't work in our favor. But, Dad, we are on to the VAR You Serious Moment of the week, and it is in line with the title, what we're talking about today. Quite a lot of VAR and reffing changes going into this summer, potentially at the World Cup, the Canadian Premier League trialing some different things. But, Dad, just to go through them, I'll let you jump in on a couple too, but 5 seconds to take a throw in potentially. 10 seconds, I believe, to take a corner and do a substitution, if I'm not incorrect there.
Substitution for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know the corner got some sort of time limit as well. Injured players, if they're not off within a certain time, have to be off for a minute. And if they jump on apparently too soon, it's also an infraction. The team has to play like a minute down again. But I don't know if you want to list any other ones out there, but just some crazy changes coming here to the VAR and ref scene.
Well, I do want to go to the fact that VAR specifically is going to be able to look at whether, corner kicks and whether it should be a corner kick or a goal kick, and then a second yellow card and whether or not it indeed would be a second yellow card. Quickly, so the Canadian Premier League is going to debut Wenger's, what do they call? I can't remember the name for
It's
it, but
the daylight offside rule.
the
Thanks for bringing
daylight
that up.
offside rule. I'm a big fan of that idea. Yeah, I'm going to be really interested to see how it goes in the Canadian Premier League. It's a great idea on paper, but in actuality, how is that going to play out? So I'm really interested in that. But going back to corner kicks and second yellow cards, I'm not a fan because giving the VAR official even more power. I mean, all of these movements to get the game going, to keep it going, right? Like even today watching Arsenal, Declan Rice is slowly drying the ball off and probably took him 13, 14, 15 seconds to throw the damn ball in. So they're making all these changes to speed the game up, but now they're introducing more stoppages because VAR can review more. So they're counteracting their own decisions. I mean, what do you think of that?
No, I think you're right. I think what you see in the theme across these changes, maybe besides the offsides rule, is it's all very nitpicky. And to your point, we're trying to get the game moving more. We're trying to have the ball in play more often rather than time wasting the ball being out, long throw-ins, long corner kicks. I mean, we're trying to speed up things and keep the ball in play, yet okay, if you get a 5 second infraction or a 10 second infraction or a sub infraction, okay, then you have to move the ball again. It's a different set play that comes into play there. Oh, the team gets a goal kick now instead of a corner kick, but they get a throw in now the other way. I think it's just nitpicky. But then here's the best part, Dad. I don't know if I've seen that rule enforced this year where if the goalie holds it for longer than 6 or 8 seconds, that it's gone to a corner kick. I've maybe seen it once. Have you seen it more than that?
I don't think I've seen it at all, really, or not that I remember.
And maybe goalies are doing really well getting rid of the ball, but I can't say that that's worked out to help anything or benefit this situation.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I think it's a lot of changes all at once, by the way. It feels like they
Yeah.
maybe shouldn't have maybe done half of these changes and then the other half the following season. So to me, it feels like too much too quickly, which going back to your point about enforcement, I wonder if these refs are gonna have a difficult time enforcing all of it or kind of choosing some refs might enforce some things more, like the substitution rules, where other refs might enforce the throw-in rule more. I think it's gonna be bumpy for sure. I
Yeah.
like the intention. I'm not sure about the execution, and I definitely don't like the idea that VAR can stall the game even more.
Well, and that's the thing. It's we as fans, I think, have been complaining about where the responsibility really is. I mean, we're seeing some refereeing performances, especially from linemen, go down because of VAR and line drawing and everything for offsides. We've seen them miss calls that they were making beforehand. So are we just ridding the responsibility of the on-field refs? If so, why are we having on-field refs if everything's just going to be checked upstairs? You know, it's kind of to
I
your
mean,
point.
I think there's absolutely an argument at this point that you've gotta keep the center ref, right?
Yeah,
That's a gimme. But there's absolutely an argument to getting rid of ARs, especially as technology and AI continue to improve more and more.
yeah.
I mean, why bother?
At least in
And
the
I
Premier League, right? In the top leagues, like you really can't do it further down, right? I don't even think second divisions you can get rid of that much yet, but maybe
no.
eventually.
I mean, everyone says AI is coming for our jobs, so
Yeah,
why not
hopefully.
referee jobs,
Well, hopefully
right?
they're not listening to an AI podcast instead of us. That would be a little bit disappointing,
Yeah,
but
we're 100% real. We're all human here.
we're real people.
So, what's your thought? What's your verdict on this one?
I mean, it's tough to say, Dad. And here's the last point I'll bring up. There's a point on here that I wrote down. It's almost American style game management that we're getting into here. It feels like we're transitioning towards American football with all these little nitpicky flags and delay of games. It's it seems like, everyone's been talking about, oh, the game's so boring this year. Oh, Arsenal's so boring, stuff like that. It's almost like they're trying to make the game more exciting, more accessible, but they're like you said, they're switching so much. It seems almost like a money play in my head. Maybe I'm going too deep there, but I'm going to say this is a yellow card. I think they need to pump the brakes a little bit and really evaluate what should actually be implemented.
If they wanna make the game more exciting, make the goal bigger.
Yeah, exactly. If they want more goals,
Right? I mean, even just an extra foot all the way around, like, do that. If that's
I think
really
this is just stirring up controversy though.
it
It's
is, I
how
mean,
can we do more controversy? How can we get more clicks, more media attention on different moments of the game? It's like Adam Silver said about the NBA. He's like, "We don't really need to worry about our league pass subscriptions and all that because more people access the NBA through their phone and reels than anything else. This seems more like a money and a social media and attention getting play rather than actually changing the game for the better."
well, we've talked before about the influence of American owners in the Premier League. And this may be part of that to some extent, that they're wanting to do this. That would be a shame if that's the case. But like I said, for me, the thing I'm most interested is the daylight rule in the Canadian Premier League this summer. We talked a bit about the Canadian Premier League and the Canadian, final. Maybe I'll watch a little more this season just to see how that rule is being implemented and how it's going. Good for the Canadian Premier League, like raising their hand saying, hey, you know what? We'll test it out this summer. Smart.
Yeah, get
I'm
some
going to
odds.
agree with you. I'm going to agree and just go yellow card. I think it's too much at once, and I think it's going to be more of a mess because of that, rather than maybe a season of adjustment. It's probably going to take 2 seasons to adjust, and God knows what they're going to add on at this time next year, right? So
Yeah, exactly. It's almost a compound effect. Are we gonna see even more the year after this? I mean, it could keep going, and that's not really, I think, something anyone wants, but
no,
who knows? Anyways, on to the last segment of the episode, parting shots as always. And Dad, has Michael Carrick already done enough to win the Manchester United job?
Yes. Listen, if a guy can get fired in 7 or 8 matches, right? As Carrick, I think he's managed 7 matches so far. Why can't a guy win a job in 7 matches?
Good
You
point.
know, they beat Man City 2-0. They beat Arsenal at, the Emirates 3-2. And I mean, the guy hasn't lost yet. I believe they are 6 wins and 1 draw. I think the draw is against Newcastle. But I mean, like I said, if a guy can get fired after 7 matches, why can't a guy win a job in 7 matches? So I say, yeah, I think he deserves a shot next year.
Yeah, I think that's fair too. And yeah, I think they're top of the form table in 2026. Like they would be first if the season restarted in 2026. So hopefully he gets it for his sake. I think that's the best way to put it.
All right. Will Chelsea miss out on the top 5 of the Premier League due to poor discipline?
9 red cards in all competitions this season for Chelsea. I mean, that is ridiculous. 7 in the Premier League alone, and I don't see it stopping. I mean, the Pedro Neto tackle today in the Arsenal game was so idiotic. Martinelli was going nowhere, defenders tracking back. All Neto had to do was shield him or, keep him on the side. And he just 2-foots him. Like, I've never seen a team do this. I think Chelsea is too young, too inexperienced. I'm seeing them missing out on Champions League due to this poor discipline. I think it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, I texted you about Caicedo today. Like, I don't like the way that guy plays at all. I did not see the Neto tackle, but yeah, I mean, this lack of discipline feels, well, not the exact same. It feels like the same kind of lack of discipline that Real Madrid has had for much of the season, and they're shooting themselves in the foot. Like you, this league is hard enough as it is. The Premier League.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, and they played well today against Arsenal. I mean, they probably could have won with 10 men. And I think that just shows you the shooting in the foot. And they've done it 7 times in the Premier League this year alone, which is already the most ever for one team in Premier League season. So, yes, Chelsea will miss out on the top 5.
Can I ask you a question? So I'm looking, the record for the most red cards in a single Premier League season is jointly held by Sunderland and Queen's Park Rangers with 9 in a single season. Chelsea have 7 in the Premier League. Will they tie or break that record?
Interesting. I'm wondering if people are having other sources here because it said they already did break the record. So maybe I'm getting misinformation. Apologies. I think they're going to break the record regardless because they still got 10 games left. So, that's probably at least 3 more red cards for them right there.
All right, move on.
Anyways, on to the next parting shot. That was more like a really slow dribbling shot to the goal line. But Dad, does the handball rule need reform?
I don't know about reform, but God, can we get some clarity? Because the way I understand it is different from the way the next guy understands it, and more importantly, the way the refs understand it. And so what I believe is a natural position, the next guy doesn't. So I don't know about reform, but somehow there just has to be clarity. And people will say, well, just look at the rule. Look at the black and white, the letters on the page. Okay, if it was that easy, then why is it still continue to be so controversial? What is a handball and what isn't? So for me, not reform, clarity.
I like it. I think it's like the NFL catch rule a little bit. It's like no one actually knows really what the rule is. Like, does anyone truly know what the rule is? I mean, whatever. I think I agree with you, Dad. But anyways, on to the next.
Can PSG replicate last season's Champions League run?
I don't think they will, but you can't count it out. PSG is such a dangerous team, and we saw what they did last year from an unassuming position. They were flying under the radar again, and you can't count them out, but they're not going to do it this year. They're going to crash out, unfortunately, but that means a new winner, so we'll take that.
All right.
All righty. Are Barcelona being underestimated in Europe, Dad?
Probably by people like me and you because we focus so much on the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
I don't think people, leagues are underestimating them. But, I think rightfully so, there's an awful lot of attention on teams like Arsenal and Bayern. And in my world, even City appear to have more attention than Barcelona. I'm just looking at the club world rankings. Bayern is actually a few points ahead of Arsenal. Barca's third, PSG fourth, Man City fifth, right? So if you're going by that, Barca should absolutely get more attention than they're getting this year. Once again, I'm sure if you're in Spain, they're getting plenty of attention. Outside of there, yeah, they're probably being underestimated.
Well, we'll see that underestimation probably against Newcastle. We'll see how it goes for them.
Yeah. All right, last parting shot of the episode. Will Nottingham Forest win the Europa League, but get relegated?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes. They're gonna do it just because why not? They have like an oddly good team, and they've been playing well in the Europa League. They beat Fenerbahce 3-0 in that first leg of their tie over there. So yeah, Nottingham Forest they're gonna win the Europa League, but they've been so bad in the Premier League, lost again today. They're going to go down in that 18th spot. So that'll be funny to see, if nothing else. They'll get a little bit of silverware on the way down.
But they'll be if they win the Europa League, they're in the Champions League next year. So they're going to be
Will we see the Champions League? Yeah, championship to Champions League.
That's nuts. And that's kind of in line, you're right, with the question I asked earlier about will Spurs get relegated but win the Champions League. I don't know about Forest beating Aston Villa for the Europa League crown. That's a big ask. But you never know.
And there's some big teams left too. I think Roma's still in, like we'll give credit where credit's due. Like there's still good teams left that are not English, but I think it'd be hilarious. It's on a smaller scale. I remember Wigan, I think, won the FA Cup all those years ago and went down that same season. Obviously crazy as well, but not to this magnitude. This would be unbelievable. So yeah, that is our parting shots for the day, Dad. I feel good. I feel like we got another podcast under the belt here and another game week, another win for us. Hopefully your guys' teams won as well.
All righty. Well, I was just trying to look up our next friendlies because I think isn't March as we kind of go away here and tease our next episode or two. Aren't there some friendlies coming up here?
For the U.S. men's national team, I believe so. I know the
End of
U.S.
March.
national team are also doing some stuff, but when are the games, Dad?
Belgium, March 28th, Portugal, March 31st. So we've got 4 weeks until that. So I'm a couple weeks ahead of myself. We should not be teasing a month out. My bad.
Hey, but the World Cup is definitely coming, and that's going to be quite a bit of content. So if you guys want to see that, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, keep engaging with us on this podcast, guys. We are loving it, and we definitely want more of you guys around. Dad, tell them what to do.
Subscribe, like, all that stuff. We appreciate it.
Awesome, everyone. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your week or enjoy the start of your week, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.